that team.
All right, so looking at the matchup between these two teams, what are some things we're looking for in the draft? Is there any pick that's hotly contested or very critical to success for either one?
Jungle is going to be very important. Both teams like to play very aggressive junglers. Not necessarily the same heroes, though, so it's a little bit of a wash there. You don't really have anything that's going to be super hotly contested. Finn going to actually be the first ban here, though, from Hammers.
Yeah, it looks like they're target banning the Finn. It makes sense because Rekt is so good on Finn. Also, Finn is really good against Samuel when Rekt stacks that shield and just blocks all that Malice and Verdict. They are going to take away the Lance from Chicken because Chicken is very strong on Lance. And force Hammers to make a decision between Lyra or Adagio. I think they're going to go for Lyra here. Oh, they're going to go for Glaive, actually. I forgot that they do prioritize Glaive every time.
I
so
really like T-Tigers on the Glaive.
I think Lyra makes sense here for Gankstars. They'll probably pick up that Lyra and then potentially ban the Adagio. We'll see what Gankstars wants to do, but I think Lyra on Rekt is a good call.
Yeah, Lance is actually the single most picked hero for Gankstars as well. So it's kind of surprising to see them ban that away, but you know, they just really didn't want to let Chicken get his hands on that one.
All right, Gankstars with their second ban now on the table. It's going to be a Kestrel. They do not want starting all over, I'm guessing, to get that hero.
Or Tigers. Tiger CP character is very good.
Yeah, it's strong on either side. Lyra as a second rotation ban here. You mentioned the double heal earlier on. We never saw it, but it's always been in the back of our minds. It is in the forefront of the minds of Hammers, given that Gankstars does like to play that Lyra as well.
Yeah, and Gwen is a very meta and strong hero pick now. I think Hammers will go with Fox, Koshka, Ringo, Koshka potentially, but I think they will probably support the Glaive here.
They might go for a
or
Fortress.
CP Glaive. Yeah, they can go Fortress as well. Or they can also CP Glaive with an Arden on Chicken, because Chicken likes to play Arden, but his Glaive has been very good on support. So they have a lot of options to choose from, but I think they might put Tigers on Koshka potentially. However, it is tough. Yeah, they are going to put Tigers on Koshka, but against Adagio as a carry, or I mean as support, Koshka may have a hard time depending on what Gankstars picks her.
Not only that, but Gwen, you know, has that built-in reflex block, can really do a lot of work against the Koshka. Although the interesting thing about that is, at least from what I've noticed, I'll have to double-check to make 100% sure, but when Gwen uses the Skedaddle to avoid, a Baron.
Baron, that's very interesting. Baron likes to poke. Koshka likes to dive in, so it'd be interesting to see how they're going to synergize this comp here.
The look we gave one another as that pick was locked in was definitely not a knowing one. It's like an unknowing look. It was like a what? All right, well, Gankstars, I'm sure they're going to use some of their bonus time here to try and work out how to deal with that.
They got to pick Taka. They need an assassin. They need someone that can get onto Baron. Otherwise, or Celeste if they want to risk it, but that's too risky with triple range.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Black Feather.
Black Feather CP might work. He can get onto that Baron, but they need somebody that can get. They need a melee hero always, because Baron is going to outrange a lot of the picks they're going to pick. Against a Koshka 2, triple range will not work. So they need to pick Black Feather is good. Taka is really good. They need someone who can get onto Baron and shut him down.
What about the Grumpjaw?
Grumpjaw is tough because Glaive can stun him, and Koshka has a stun as well, so they can actually stun Grumpjaw out of his ult and cancel the ult. So I don't think Grumpjaw is the best option. They can try it. If they can eat Koshka and die Baron, that could work out too.
Or eat Glaive.
3 seconds, Petal.
Petal, okay.
No melee hero picked here by Gankstars. What do you think about the Petal, Suijay?
I think early game it's going to do okay, but once Baron gets to his late game, he's going to outrange both of them, and it's going to blow up the pets with the amount of damage and crit he's going to get. So they're going to have a tough time. So they need to snowball the early game against a Koshka of all junglers to ensure Baron doesn't get to his late game. So Tenshinbo, Gwen, Petal, snowball.
All right, so that's the game plan for Gankstars here. What about Hammers? How do they make this comp work?
A lot of it's going to be poking with the Baron for throughout the early to mid game, and then once you get a little bit of damage done on your opponents, that's when you dive in with the Koshka and you look for just popping someone really quickly in the early game. Late game is just all about just flat damage.
Do you think that Koshka's build maybe changes a little bit from normal here? It deviates to something which is more about cleaning up fights than going in and bursting someone down?
I don't think so. I think it's still just mostly going to be about bursting someone down because, again, early on it's just going to be poking with the Baron and then finding the opportunity for Koshka to jump in and do what she does best. Late game, you're going to have Baron doing so much damage that Koshka can almost do whatever she feels like at that point.
And so, Bacon, just to refresh people on how important this game is, we got to talk about championship points real fast. How many do each of these two teams need?
Funnily enough, they could both qualify for the live championship this series. as Hammers needs 1 point, Gankstars need 2.
Wow. So if it goes to 3 games and Hammers wins,
Correct.
then
No,
then
if it goes
Gankstars.
to 3 games and Gankstars wins. Sorry.
Okay, so, I mean, maybe we'll see 2 teams qualify for the championships right here, right now. What I can tell you for sure, though, is that we're going to be seeing Dowsey and Jingyi back from Europe, going to be casting this next series.
Oh, we're burning right through the Gankstars tonight. Xinyi, 4th up here, and off of Europe as well. So, big round of applause to you, Xinyi. This is going to be a double region cast.
Thank you.
But I'm really excited to see this Hammers versus Gankstars matchup. Both these teams very talented. A bit of a fight here as well in the tri-bush, but Hammers going to immediately disengage it.
Yeah, a lot at stake here for both of the teams, and I think they know it. TC Bacon did say it was 1 point for Hammers and 2 points there for Gankstars for them to qualify for the championships. Every point counts at this point.
Every point counts. It's 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
As if you can qualify for the live championships, and in theory, both these teams should be able to qualify today, based on the fact that there is a second series that they get to play in the finals, and of course, the 3rd place decider. But it would be really huge if they could do it now.
Ooh.
And actually, we're going to see a bit of aggression from T-Tigers as Xenotech trying to get away, but he cannot. Chicken's here as well. That's going to be the afterburn coming up. Oh, it's already been used, but Rect is taking a huge chunk of damage. He's going to go low as well. He falls. Wow, T-Tigers just doing all of the work here on his Koshka, and that is 2 kills early, 2 Hammers.
Well, that's what you want to be seeing that Koshka doing, is just using her early game pressure, a lot of bursts to go in and out of the fights, and it's quite easy for her to pick up the kills, especially against squishy carries such as that Peso. She can just bypass the Munyas and go straight onto Peso, and that's exactly what T-Tigers did there. 2-0-0. It's looking pretty good at 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, super good here from Hammers, who I think they've been fairly strong. You know, the analyst desk was saying we probably saw the strongest performance from them yesterday when they took down Cloud9. And let's not forget, they took down TSM unexpectedly and won. I believe it was week 3 as well. So this is a really strong roster. One, you know, the top 4 in NA is so strong. T-Tigers dives into 3 and walks away better off than Zoro could ever be in that engagement. They're just putting so much pressure on. They're looking to try and steal away this healing camp. They do, and that's just going to be them. You know, Baron needs to get to the late game. But, you know, Hammer's view on this is what they do. It's just they stop Gankstars from getting to the late game, and then Baron has an easy job. T-Tigers, he's just going all over the place. Chicken not able to find a kill. Perhaps they bit off more than they can chew, but I say that. Look at Araki Zoro.
Oh,
okay,
no.
he finally finds a kill. T-Tigers will go down. Chicken has the help of Starting, who dives forward on his Baron, looking for the kills onto both Rect and Araki Zoro, but he will not be able to. Lots of aggression coming out of Hammers, but Gankstars finally get one back.
That's absolutely what I expect. I think T-Tigers being a little bit greedy there, 2v3 situation, actually even 1v3 at one point wasn't the healthiest.
Oh,
Great stun.
Great stun,
oh.
does lose his life in the process, a 1-for-1 trade, and actually the kill goes Araki Zoro's way, whereas Chicken picked up the kill credit. So perhaps gold going into the right places there for Gankstars, but Hammers, they're just looking, instead of allowing Gankstars to make moves onto their Baron and try and put Starting all over behind, they're putting so much pressure into the jungle, which forces Gankstars to actually react to that pressure, and they never really get a chance to deal with Starting and try and put him behind. He's already got a 10 CS lead in the lane.
I think we can see why, because Araki Zoro is being forced to rotate down to the jungle just to help out his teammates there, and as a result he's losing out CS, and Gankstars, to be honest, they're not really defending their backs that well. I'm not saying it's because they've got bad defense, it's just because T-Tigers is that aggressive that they're being forced into this position.
Well, they're trying to defend it, but Petal against a Koshka, yeah, it's a hard task for Petal to really defend her backs, and that's why Gankstars are rotating as a 3 down, bringing Araki Zoro into the mixture, because 3 versus 2, you'd expect the 3 to win out in the long run, and it has done. But all this time, Starting's got free farm in the lane, and the Baron is starting to get the items it needs without really any tribulation.
Yeah, they're not really having any. There's not really any contest for Starting all over. I think in an ideal world, Gankstars would be trying to put a lot of pressure onto Baron in the lane, but they're really not getting the chance to do that. Starting all over is getting free reign to farm, as you said before. Now that CS difference is now increased to 12, and Chicken and T-Tigers are just running rampant through Gankstars jungle. I've got to say, we saw Chicken play 2 games of Glaive yesterday, and they were some of the most impressive roam Glaives that I've seen. I think his afterburners are absolutely fantastic. I hope he doesn't miss any now that I've said that. And it's going to make it very tough for them to try and get onto
There
it.
it is.
No.
Right now, Rakizoro goes very low and gets taken on down by starting all over. The auto attacks from Baron the second. Auto attack just able to throw out so much damage as well. That's going to be the engage onto Xenotech, and he gets blown up by T-Tigers. It just leaves Rek trying to escape T-Tigers, but there's the afterburn, there's the stun, and there is a easy 3 kills for Hammers. They're looking to take down this turret as well. I've never seen so much early aggression from a Baron composition from a team, but T-Tigers on his signature Koshka, just making everything happen.
He's absolutely making everything happen. 4-1 and 1. I think that speaks for itself. The Hammers have managed to take the first turret. I think what Gankstars need to do is just play the careful waiting game, which might not be the easiest, especially if you consider how much offense T-Tigers is putting on. Because I feel that Xenotech, once he gets into the late game, the scaling will be really strong. However, one slight quibble I have is with Iraqi Zoro. He's gone for the tension bow. It's typically a very early game item. Synergizes really well with his boomstick. However, it really does fall off in the late game. He's not really getting the chance to use the damage from the tension bow properly because of T-Tigers. I think maybe going for a Sora Blade, getting that more sustained or consistent DPS might be the safer option here.
That's exactly it. You know, if Gankstars were charging full speed ahead as they would have hoped to have done against a Baron, then it makes a lot of sense to get the tension bow, because then you it's very cheap, you get a lot of extra damage for it, and it puts your opponents even further behind. But Hammers have got such a gold lead. It is almost 4,000 at 6 minutes. They've got 6-2 kills. T-Tigers is building up a CS lead over Xenotech, 13 to his name, and there's there is a 20 CS lead in the lane for starting all over's Baron as well. They've already got a turret for themselves here, Hammers. This is such an incredible performance from them so far. And something that I was not expecting against Gankstars. They're so consistent in their macro ability, their rotation ability to play against these kind of aggressive plays. But right now, Hammers, they're kind of running circles around them.
Yeah,
and they're gonna go in.
Wow!
Afterburn, so huge from Chicken. Just knocks Iraqi Zoro right out of position. And Iraqi Zoro, he tried to skedaddle, but it was not enough. That's going to be the Ion Cannon going out. They dive the turret, wrecked, may be able to blow up Tigers, but no, Tigers is still alive. But now, Yummy Captain Frenzy keeps him alive even further. Will be T-Tigers finding the kill as an auto attack finds T-Tigers in return. But it's another turret going Hammer's way. Iraqi Zoro flies forward, trying to kill, starting all over. Starting's able to disengage. Iraqi goes forward, but it's just an ace. Starting takes the ace very happily for himself at 7 minutes 40, 10-3, 5,000 gold lead before the 8-minute mark, and Hammers, they're just charging forward with a Baron of all heroes.
Who would have thought 8 minutes, a team with Baron would be much in the lead? Well, Hammers have somehow managed to pull this off. And I was going to say before, Hammers, they've had some really strong performances in the past, but consistency isn't something that we can use to describe Hammers, because they never quite manage the same level every single time. We're never really sure which Hammers is going to show up. Today, I think it's very clear which one is here, because they're absolutely just stomping Gankstars right now. And it seems very difficult for Gankstars to try and make their way back in. Partly because starting all over, his itemization is absolutely incredible because of his CS advantage. And there's actually no dive there on Gankstars. They can't get the starting all over. And if you think about the peel that Chicken provides as well, it's just an extra layer of defense that Gankstars have to fight through.
Starting's on 3 damage items, Tension Bow, Sora Blade, Breaking Point. Iraqi has 1 damage item in the Tension Bow. Yes, he has 1,800 gold in his inventory. He should be able to go back and complete that Sora Blade whenever he wants, assuming that's going to be the item he picks up. But this is just the craziest lead I've ever seen in competitive North American play. And to think that this is the 2 top 3 teams going against each other is incredible as well.
Yeah, it's the semi-finals here. Incredibly dominating, but let's think about this. T-Tigers, on that Koshka, it's well known that Koshka does tend to fall off in the late game. However, what we are seeing is that the Baron usually scales up really well at that point. So it's a difficult balance there for Gankstars to try and cope with. I think at this point, they just need a turtle, just try and maintain their backs, but I don't know if Hammers will let them. I don't think they will, actually, just looking at the way they're positioning themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They're putting so much pressure on. They're pushing the lane into this turret and then just shipping it away. A choke point turret at 10 minutes is what Hammers are currently playing for. They have that ion cannon. They want to drop it for the extra damage, and that's exactly what's going to happen. As the afterburn flies out, choke point turret destroyed, and Hammers looking to take down Rekt. That's going to be the first stopped with a Yummy Captain Frenzy is starting, dives onto Araki Zoro, and he takes down Xenotech as well. An ace at 10 minutes here for Hammers. They're looking to take down the Vein Crystal turrets at 10 minutes against Gankstars, splitting the damage between two to stop the recalls coming at the same time. Hammers looking to finish the game right here, right now. Baron at 10 minutes. Early game is the new late game, and Hammers take game 1.
I think after casting the EU games, I think this was just an incredible change, just in pace. T-Tigers from the very start of the game just really had applied the pressure, just kept it up, and just felt very difficult for Gankstars to even try and come back from that. Koshka was an incredible counter going into that petal. It was just really efficiently shut Xenotech down from the very start. And starting all over, just free reign as that late game hero who never really made it to the late game, but still did fantastically nonetheless.
Incredible stuff here from Hammers. I don't think anyone would have expected them to come in here with a Glaive, a Koshka, and a Baron and go, right, this is going to be a 10-minute game. This is going to be a game that Hammers just roll away with. But they managed to make it work. Hope the analysts are ready, because I certainly would have expected this one to go a lot longer, at least double this time. Hammers 1-0 against Gankstars. Incredible. What do you guys have to say about it?
You know, honestly, I barely made it back from getting a drink of water. That was a ridiculous game. Man, extremely fast finish out of Hammers. I said it before the game. I think they're looking better than they have all season long. That game was certainly representative of that fact.
And again, like the cast was saying, you don't expect a game that quick when you have something like a Baron. Like, when we say Baron, we expect, oh, it'll finally start doing well at 11 minutes. Not, it's going to end the game at 11 minutes. That was ridiculous. And this pick, I mean, it had a 15% win rate coming into today. And just to be able to have the guts to pick that up and know what you want to do, execute on it so well, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, an MVP of that game was definitely T-Tigers. He just knew when to invade, deny Xenotech jungle. As soon as he hit level 6 power spike, he dove underneath the turret, killed Xenotech, and then continued to use his Koshka ult so expertly. I mean, that last fight, he stunned Rekt out of his ultimate. I mean, Tigers is just a god on Koshka. You cannot give Tigers Koshka. He's too good with it.
Let's just go ahead and bring it up, to be honest.
You see here, they're poking the turret. He gets a nice afterburn. Araki Zoro gets hit by the Baron ult. And look at T-Tigers. Stuns Rekt out of his ultimate. And then they just proceed to delete Xenotech. But look at the crit. 559 crit.
At 10 minutes!
On a petal with no armor. And that's what happens, you know, when Baron gets fed in the mid-game in the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, mistakes also being made, obviously, from Gankstars. Like, yeah, Rekt got stunned out of his ultimate, but he shouldn't have. Like, he had the Crucible. He used it late. That's something that shouldn't happen in that situation. Especially while you're using Aversive Judgment, your finger should be, like, a millimeter away from hitting your Crucible button in that situation. But great job by Gankstars just to put or by Hammers to put Gankstars into that situation where maybe it's just you're under so much pressure because you're getting just pummeled repeatedly that it causes mistakes like that to happen.
Talk to me about points for the championship, Bacon.
All right, well, with that 1 point, Hammers Esports now have 20 points. That is their threshold. They would tie with Rogue if Rogue were to win out the rest of the Evil 8, and Hammers lost every single game from here on out. But they would have the tiebreaker over Rogue, so they are now in the Unified Championship.
Great spot to be in if you're Hammers, but there's lots of Vainglory8 action left for them to try and get through. It's going to be, I think, important for Hammers to get those high spots to maybe get the buys, because we do know them to be a bit of an emotional team, a bit. Well, at least they were inconsistent to begin with. Maybe they've really worked that out.
They've definitely stepped it up.
It's hard to know if that's going to continue or not, but I think that's the crucible they should put themselves through, right? Like, perform like this every day, every match, right? You still got one more game in this series to show that you're going to be able to stay on track, because anyone can have a 10-minute game out of the blue, right? You got to be able to put those numbers up again and again.
Yeah. Gankstars looking to prove that this was just a fluke and that they will hopefully be able to come back and have a strong game themselves.
They need to focus on the jungle. They can't give Tigers a stronger jungler than Xenotech. Otherwise, they need to get an even jungler, or they need to get a better jungler if they can. Because if Tiger is able to get a better jungler, he's going to outplay and outcarry the enemy jungler.
Wow.
And Tigers has done that even when he was on LibX and winning the first live championship. Tigers carried on lane. He got the better laner. He is going to carry. So they need to really target Tigers and not let them get a better jungler.
That's saying a lot, though, considering how Xenotech has been performing recently. I mean, I honestly think it's tough to make a call on Tigers versus Xeno. It's definitely a matchup to watch based on last game, however. We're into the draft for game number 2. Can Gankstars bounce back here? They need 2 points to qualify for the Unified Championship, and they would be able to get it if they were to win both of the next 2 games in this series. Banning away the Lance, a good start.
Yeah, looking to take Lance off the board. That is going to mean Hammers will take Lyra away. So Gankstars now with a decision to make. It's going to be the Adagio.
Looks like they're going to give Hammers the Koshka. They'll probably pick Glaive here. Hammers will take Glaive, and then Gankstars needs to ban Koshka on the second ban phase here, definitely. They're going to ban out the Finn. Gankstars hopefully will ban Koshka unless they have an answer to that. Let's see what they decide to do here. But I would definitely ban Koshka and not give that to Hammers. Definitely on T-Tigers. Koshka and Glaive is just such a strong combo because Glaive can afterburn and then boom, both carries just jump on him. With the amount of burst she provides with another hyper carry on starting, it's just too much with those afterburns that Chicken is so good at.
Would Hammers feel comfortable picking up Koshka's second pick, knowing that they were going to get answered by 2 more heroes?
Yeah, I mean, they're confident in that Koshka. They can play really aggressive against Gankstars, and that's something that Hammers excels in. So they will most likely pick up the Koshka here because there's so many weapon carriers that they can pick. And then Gankstars will probably pick Black Feather, potentially. Flicker or Rona would be a good counter. They definitely need an early game aggressive support, so Flicker would make a lot of sense. Flicker and Rona counter Koshka and can beat Koshka. Black Feather too would work, but Black Feather will be weak against Koshka in the early game, but will spike and outscale her mid to late.
I like what Hammers have done here, forcing Rekt to go deep into that hero pool, and banning away the Lyra and the Finn. Lance already being banned away as well. It's the concern I'll have is one that I have fairly frequently, but obviously many teams are still able to overcome. They're going to have a very squishy composition on the side of Hammers.
I mean, Hammers, they had a squishy composition to a certain extent last game, too. It's just a matter of killing your opponents before they can do anything about it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that you have to be very much aware of.
All right, so Gwen locked in for Gankstars. Of course, Skedaddle excellent at getting away from these picks that the Glaive might set up, that the Koshka could set up with Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Is that what Gankstars need here, Sweet J?
It's too risky because Glaive is super squishy. I would rather lane the Adagio and get like a solid support like an Arden or a Flicker that can counter against the Koshka aggression. And then round it out with like Black Feather. But they're going to pick Ozo here.
Wow. Ozo!
Interesting. It could work. Ozo is very strong once he gets his Aftershock, and he can actually outscale Koshka in the late game as long as he is ahead of her.
Ozo's is an interesting pickup. We've seen very little of it, Bacon. Talk to me a little bit about the performance of Ozo throughout spring season.
There's not a whole lot to talk about. It has been picked as many times as Grumpjaw coming into today, so it has 7 games played, and it only had 1 win. So still better than Grumpjaw was, but not by much.
All right, Vox, the last pick here from Hammers. I want to return to this Ozo pick, though. I want to talk about how he functions on this update, right? Because we've seen things like Poison Shiv be better. I think it's unlikely he's going to be Weapon, but that's something which can be nice on an Ozo because he benefits so well from Sustain. What about his Crystal Path?
Crystal still has a ton of Sustain on it because he heals just off of the damage he does with 3-Ring Circus. So regardless of which path you go, it's still a ton of Sustain. You're still getting a lot of healing off of fountains and barriers, things of that nature. So a Poison Shiv is really good against an Ozo.
Yeah, Ozo is going to be good because when he also jumps between jumps, he has fortified health. Along with Adagio's heal and along his heal with the 3-Ring Circus like Tasty Bacon saying, he has a lot of sustain. So Hammers can't bunch up because Ozo will get a lot of value if they group up against his bounces. And
they kind of feel like they should be grouping up, right? Because Vox likely going to be Weapon, diving very heavily on, Glaive and Koshka diving on. Guys, who do you think is going to take this game? Are Hammers going to have like another 10 minutes performance here?
I love the composition from Gankstars. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get them a win, but I'm going to say it will be right now.
Yeah, Tigers on Koshka, man. It's very dangerous to give him that Koshka, so I think Hammers are going to take this.
All right, well, we know the compositions. Let's find out who's going to take the game as we head on to the Halcyon Fold. We've got Dowsey and Jingyi to bring you the action.
You know, I was thinking, it's Ozo locked in. It's definitely going to be Humanist by my side to bring the call this time. But Jingyi, still here, still ready for some North American action. We just witnessed a 10-minute game here, Jingyi, from Hammers.
Yeah.
They have a very similar composition. Sure, it's not the Baron, but they have a Vox. It is an engage for Gankstars as they move straight in, but starting all over immediately runs over to counter the engage by trying to steal some of these backs. And actually, Gankstars, well, they haven't taken that much. They're going to start up this Elder Treant, and they're going to send Araki Zoro into the backs here to try and take him up. Araki Zoro's spotted him out. Skedaddle's popped. He's going to look for the damage. Here comes the rest of Gankstars, and starting, well, he's in a hard spot. He's going to try and finish off this, but so, Araki Zoro's able to finish it up. Here comes Rek to give the heal. The fire ticking, and that should be enough to find first blood. No! First blood on the other side of the map! Hammers! They've made their way in, and T-Tigers takes down this Ozo. I was completely tunneled on the fight with starting all over. First blood goes Hammers, and that's Gankstars finding return, but now T-Tigers keeping up his stuff, looking for another Ozo back into the action, but Rek's almost dead. Who got the Elder Treant? I think it was Xenotech, and that's going to be Chicken going very low, loses his life, as T-Tigers tries to find a kill, but the Ozo's bouncing all over the place. A double here for Xenotech. It all went wrong for Hammers.
I was actually really rooting for T-Tigers to pick up like the 1 versus 3 and just sweep it, because that would have just been expected and unexpected. I think I was really hoping for that. Anyway, Gankstars, it's a bit of a turnaround from the last game. They've picked up 3 kills already. Hammers, they only have the 1. I think it's a bit of an easier matchup here in the jungle. If you look at the Koshka Ozo matchup, Ozo should have a little bit more sustainable against the Koshka as well. And this should certainly be a tougher matchup for T-Tigers anyway. But I'm certainly not expecting any less pressure coming out from them.
This is where we're going to see Hammers look to try and continue to put the pressure onto Xenotech. Of course, on this, Ozo can definitely deal with the invades a little bit easier, but he's going very low here. That's going to be Rekt pushed away. Starting all over comes to support the rest of his team, and that's going to be another kill going T-Tiger's way. There's nothing really to stop this kitty cat from doing whatever she wants, and I'll be really interested to see how starting itemizes. Poison Shiv, one of the best ways to counter an Ozo, as you can cut down the healing he gets, especially when he gets an Eve of Harvest into his inventory. You know, it's something that I continuously see work towards countering an Ozo, and starting all over, well, he's definitely one to try out this Poison Shiv Vox build, so I'm very excited to see how this Vox builds in the end.
I'm gonna say I'm looking at Xenotech CS, and this must feel bad because T-Tiger's 15. That's 5 times the amount of
15
farm.
to 3.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
feels
gonna
really
go.
bad.
He's in
Oh,
trouble
Xenotech!
again. Oh, Chicken can just make sure this go. Oh, this is so sad for Xenotech. He's had such a strong performance in the VGA. If anyone had a lot of criticism coming to him when the VGA started a couple weeks ago, it was Xenotech. Everyone was like, Xenotech, he needs to step up, and step up he has. I've been very impressed with his jungle play, but right now T-Tigers just seems to be performing on an entirely different level. Now 20 to 3 CS, almost 7 times that of Xenotech. This Ozo just being entirely starved.
And he's entirely starved. He's getting 1 CS a minute, even less than that. And part of the reason is Koshka's clear speed is so incredible at this early stage. Her mobility, it all helps, and it makes it very difficult for Gankstars to try and take some of their farm back. So I think moving forward to the next bit is that we are seeing Rekt having to babysit Araki Zoro in the lane. And I would actually say have Rekt come down and help Xenotech instead. I know he is at more risk of losing some CS. Is T-Tiger's going to go in? Is he not? He is.
He is, and that's going to be him disengaging for now. Xenotech bounces back to Araki Zoro and the rest of the team. They come in, Rekt after burned, and oh dear, Rekt is going to go down. Xenotech trying to defend his jungle, but T-Tigers will actually go down to the Crystal Sentry. Ooh, a minion candy goes on it at last second. That's enough to give the kill over to Hammers, to Gankstars there, but this is what started the snowball for Hammers in the previous game here, Jingyi. Just consistent jungle presence coming out of T-Tigers, just allowing starting all over to CS perfectly. It's a 10 CS lead in the lane. It's a 20 CS lead in the jungle. And at this 5-minute mark, despite the kills being even, 2,000 gold in advantage for Hammers.
Yeah, 2,000. It's similar to the last game, and in a way it's completely different. I can expect T-Tigers, he's kept the aggression up, but I think as we go into the mid-game and late game, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Hammers to try and even get as close a lead as they had in the last one. Because of Xenotech, he's got that extra sustain, but they are doing a very efficient job of just shutting him down. I don't even know if T-Tigers will let him have that. It looks like they will.
Yep.
So this is the only way
Just about lets him, but look, they're going on to Araki. He has to disengage. Araki's also gone this tension bow build once more on the Gwen, which we kind of criticized a little bit, considering the fact that they're behind Gankstars. They're not ahead. Actually, wow, T-Tigers may just give up his life. No, Fountain goes out, and Xenotech cannot find the Acro Bouncers onto Hammers here. Look at his shielding as well. Double shielding from Xenotech just to try and deal with T-Tigers.
He definitely needs it, but it still feels like it's not quite working because he's not getting any of those acro bounces off. They're relying a lot on Araki Zoros and his tension bow proc. Xenotech just seems a bit like a spare part right now. He's not really able to do anything, and that's just because I feel like Ozo hasn't found the opportunities to be looking for those fights. I feel like once he gets his bang around, that's certainly going to be a great opportunity for them. It just depends on how Hammer is going to play out the next 2-3 minutes. They're just rotating so well as a 3.
Yeah, certainly are. T-Tiger's going to get that crystal infusion as he looks to steal even more jungle away from Xenotech. 38 to the 14 of Xenotech. It's an entirely huge lead for T-Tigers here. And not only that, because Araki Zoro has been called to try and defend the jungle for Gankstars, well, it's a huge lead in the lane as well. This turret's going to go down at 7 minutes. Nowhere near as quick from Hammers, but still so decisive in their gold lead. 3,000, they're going to fall back towards the middle of the map, perhaps even look to take Gold Miner.
They're going to like to the gold mine. Doubt we're going to see any contests coming out from Gankstars to try and deny them away from it. And if you look at the gold on the side of Gankstars, they're not in any position to fight. They have so much. The Xenotech, there was 1,700. He certainly has enough for that Aftershock and maybe enough to upgrade to that Kinetic Shield as well. I want to see what Araki Zoro is going to be building for next after the Tension Bow. Will they be prioritizing defense? Or will Araki Zoro be looking more for the offensive path? I think the way Hammers is going right now, I have a feeling Xenotech's just not going to get the chance to reach that very tanky Aftershock Ozo that he's looking for.
No, it's going to be very hard. You know, he's got his Aftershock, as you mentioned, but he is prioritizing straight into defense, and it means that he's not going to be able to dish out as much damage as he would have hoped for. You know, he certainly wanted to get a Broken Myth, perhaps an Evo Harvest into the mix before he built this heavily into defense, but it's so necessary. A 4,000 gold lead starting, has got himself that Serpent's Mask, can finish the Poison Shiv now as well, if he so pleases, which means that the sustain that Ozo usually brings to a team fight is shut down right now.
Yeah. Absolutely, and also you have to think about it. Everyone on the side of Gankstars, they're itemizing quite heavily against the Koshka. They're picking up the shield, and nobody's really picking up the armor. Rex only under the coat of plates. So as T-Tigers begins to fall down in terms of the crystal damage, that's when starting all over stepping up with the weapon damage. And at that point, Gankstars don't really have the defense against it. So we have to think about that as we move into the mid-game. Every time, I'm so sorry. Every time I look at T-Tigers and his farm, and then I look at Xenotech's.
It's scary, but then you look at starting in Araki, and it's 30. It's 36 at this point. A huge difference in the lead. That's going to be the turret falling. Oh, the T-Tigers does get stunned up, but he's going to dive straight back on in. The fountain ticking. He didn't reset his turret aggro, and so he will fall. That's a mistake, but starting all over is going to get knocked into the middle of the fight here, trying to lay down the damage, and he is able to pick up Araki Zoro. Now looking for Rect. He has the sustain, but Xenotech going to dive on top of him. Breaking point, 15 stacks. Starting all over. Can he do it? He gets knocked away. Chicken keeps him alive, but it is going to be the kill from Rect coming forward as Chicken does disengage. What an incredible game we have on our hands. Despite the incredible deficit that Gankstars are playing at, they managed to come out even in that fight.
They did. It felt like a slight miscalculation when we did see T-Tigers going in for Yummy Catnip Frenzy, because I think everyone was thinking that turret was going to go down. But the fact is, it didn't go down, and it was attacking the members of Hammers at the same time. So it was definitely put Hammers on a lower footing there. And Gankstars just turned that around, managed to pick up the kill there onto T-Tigers. But starting all over there at the kiting, I think 13, 14 breaking point stacks at the very end, helping him pick up the kill there onto Rect as well. Looks like Chicken has a Crispo now, so they won't be caught by that Versatile Judgment in the future.
Darling's at 3 damage items again. and Araki is on 1. Now, be all that, this is a very cheap build from starting all over. Breaking Point, Poison Shiv, Serpent's Mask, extremely cheap box build. Super sustain as well. The Poison Shiv will mean that Xenotech cannot, sustain through fights as much. But here we go, Silence goes out, hits all 3. But Hammer's not looking for the fight just yet. There we go. It is going to be the stun straight onto starting, but T-Tiger's able to take down Xenotech. There's the stun, a double kill. Wrecked. Well, he's gonna be wrecked as he falls for the ace here at 10 minutes. That's gonna be this turret falling. And Hammers, well, they may even look to take a second one, looking to find the choke point turret here as well.
Well, at least Gankstars aren't going to be losing to a 10-minute tension-bull Baron here. But they've lost another 2 turrets off the back of that. I do think they should back away at this point. But that last fight, it felt a bit greedy from Hammers. They really pushed as far as they could take it. And just because they are that far ahead in terms of damage and in terms of items, they were able to win that. But I feel like that Gankstars could have turned that around because they were so far forward in terms of positioning that I feel like that they could have turned that around. And we didn't really see the Bangarang being used. We've seen the aces high, but you've also got the Bangarang as well. And there's a lot you could be throwing at Hammers in these team fights.
I feel like we have to take a step and just take a step back here, Shinyi. Slow down the pace right now. Regather our thoughts. 11.5 minutes, and Hammers have found 3 turrets for themselves, a gold miner as well. T-Tigers, he's at his 2 damage build. He's got a crucible, an Aegis, as well as some armor as well. It's going to be a second gold miner going the way of Hammers. Not really slowing down the pace as far as their gold generation is concerned as they push their gold lead to 8,000 with this gold miner. Hammers, well, they have completed the Sora Blade on Araki Zoro. Xenotech, he has got the defensive there, is looking to build into his second offensive item as well. Huge priority on minion candy as well from Rect.
They need it, just because Hammers are constantly pushing, you need to have some of your own minions, just increase the strength of it. Are they going to be going to these last 2? Well,
oh wow,
look at this is interesting.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit of a bait.
It is a bait, and Hammers don't know it's a bait,
Oh,
but now
no,
they're
no,
going to
no.
find out. There's the minion candy going out. They knock Rect away, starting all over, going to join the fight. They haven't really been able to find the damage just yet. T-Tigers dives in. Yummy Captain Frenzy onto Rect. That's going to mean no fountain for the fight, and that means there's no sustain coming forward. A double for starting, looking for his triple. Looked so easy for the young Wonder Kid. Obviously drank his G Fuel today, and Hammers looking to finish the game right now. It's not quite a 10-minute victory, but it's looking like it will be a 13-minute victory for Hammers. They take down the Vein Crystal turrets and looking to finish the Vein Crystal as well. Gankstars looking lost of sorts. That was an incredible game coming out of Hammers as starting BMs with a couple of charms, and they will take the series very cleanly 2-0.
I bet TSM are taking notes, and it would not surprise me if we do see Von C picking up the Koshka himself, or TSM banning the Koshka away from T-Tigers. That was absolutely terrifying to watch. Even though the matchups, if you look at the compositions, it looked a little bit more in Gankstars' favor than it was in the first game. The aggression from Hammers was just too much. They really redefined the early game aggression.
Yeah, no, just take a sidestep right now. That match from Hammers, incredible stuff. And Gankstars, a very consistent team, but I don't feel like they've been performing as well as we maybe expect them from, especially this week. Against Immortals, Immortals looked very strong, maybe Gankstars a little bit sloppy. Now they go up against Tempo Storm in the 3rd place decider, and I think there's a real chance for Tempo Storm to take the series. We'll have to find out. Let's throw it back to the desk, though, to find out what the analysts thought of that second game from Hammers.
Wow. This whole series was over in a flash. Both games very quick. The second one lasted a little bit longer, but only a couple of minutes.
Both of these games combined took less time than some of the games we've had today.
Yeah.
That was